Hey guys, it's April and Winnie back again, and firstly I just want to start by saying a massive thank you for all of your questions and comments over on social media. It's so exciting to see that so many of you guys are excited to learn more about how we can use the active ring and play to create a more fulfilled life for not only our dogs but ourselves as well. Before we jump into the very exciting world of play with our active rings, let's take a very quick trip down memory lane and remember what we discussed in our last video. As you guys might remember, I mentioned how Winnie's behavioural issues forced me into becoming a better dog owner very quickly. It's become my mission to share everything that we've learned along our journey together so that other dog owners don't do what I did and wait until they start experiencing behavioural issues that need intervention to start learning more about dog behaviour and training. It does not matter if you have the most happy-go-lucky, friendly dog in the world or a dog that's reactive to anything that moves. These concepts are useful to everybody and they will make your lives together better. And if there's one thing the world needs, it's a lot more responsible owners who are super excited to learn a lot more about what they can do to make their dogs' lives better. Okay, so we talked about how play has been a real game changer for us in overcoming some of Winnie's behavioural issues by strengthening her obedience, improving her confidence, and so much more. It's not all just about having fun, but it's about building that deeper bond with your dog and also teaching those larger concepts like cooperation, trust, impulse control. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about how play fulfills your dog's innate instincts and desires and why the active ring is the perfect tool for the job. I'll be showing you exactly how you can use the features of the active ring to design games that your dog truly enjoys and help you guys to encourage that deeper bond, as well as create that really exciting reward event that makes your dog want to work harder and faster for you. This is exactly what will take your relationship to the next level and create really, really strong obedience. All dogs by instinct have a prey drive. This can be particularly pronounced in working dogs, but it can be seen in the way that dogs do their everyday behaviours and the way that they play. Your dog needs to exercise these instincts in order to be happy and fulfilled, but we want them to be doing it in a controlled manner, which can easily be achieved through play. This is all down to you teaching your dog this with toys. And I'm going to show you why the many versatile uses of the active ring make it the perfect tool to achieve this. In our last video, you probably remember we talked about how there are 6 aspects of play based on the predatory hunting sequence of canines. These are searching, stalking, chasing, fighting, celebrating, and consuming. Learning about these has made me pay more attention to the types of games that Winnie truly enjoys, and the more genuine fun she has, the more we get to see the benefits of play and the better our lives become. For a dog like Winnie, fighting is definitely her preferred play style. She will thrash her toys to death and loves to play tug, but sometimes her preferred play style will switch. The first stage of the predatory hunting sequence is searching. So this is when your dog scans the environment for potential prey using their senses such as sight, hearing, and smell. If your dog loves exploring or has a very curious nature in general, they might enjoy searching style games. So this might be something like hiding a high value toy or treat around your house so that your dog can go and find it. Winnie absolutely loves playing hide and seek games with her active ring around the house or garden. And not only is the actual activity of searching and finding the toy really fulfilling to her, but she can then transition into celebrating style play. But more on that later. The second element of play is stalking. If your dog likes to freeze in place, maybe get low to the ground, stare at the particular object or animal they're fixating on, then they are stalking. Hunting breeds will likely exhibit this type of behavior, and they're probably going to enjoy games that involve waiting for a specific toy reward. So you can use your active ring to create a couple of different stalking style games. It might be something as simple as holding the toy, and if your dog moves towards the toy, pulling it away until your dog figures out that patiently waiting and stalking the toy is what will get the release. Alternatively, you could place the toy on the ground in front of you and make your dog stare at it until you release them. Then you can kick it, pick it up and throw it, or even just tug with it. If you do then pick it up and throw it, then you're also activating the chasing and potentially fighting and celebrating aspects of play. Are you guys also picking up on the fact that some aspects of play can easily transition into other aspects of play? Let's keep going. The next part of the predatory hunting sequence is chasing. This is a big one for a lot of dogs, and this is where they can use their speed and agility to catch their prey, in this case, our active ring. Playing fetch by throwing or rolling your active ring is a really great outlet for that chasing instinct and also gives them very much needed physical stimulation. If your dog enjoys chasing after things like toys, animals, vehicles even, or food, then it's likely that they enjoy chasing games. Most dogs do. Alright, moving on to our fourth aspect of play, fighting. Not to be confused with physical altercations. If your dog enjoys solving problems or puzzles or just overcoming resistance to get what they want, it's likely that they enjoy a fighting style of play. Playing tug with your active ring is a really great example of a fighting game as you compete for possession, and it's one of the most valuable rewards you can give to your dog. It builds and strengthens an engaging relationship between dog and owner, and it's such a great form of mental and physical enrichment. It has many more benefits such as teaching impulse control, building confidence, redirecting unwanted behaviours such as a mouthing puppy. It can be an outlet for pent-up energy or stress, and even build your dog's motivation to work. However, it is important to know and understand how to play tug correctly to avoid injury for all of the players. Firstly, you want to make sure you choose an appropriate surface, so something like a carpet or a lawn. And then you also want to choose a toy that your dog really enjoys that is safe to use. Your dog must also have a very solid drop it cue. Common cues for this are drop it, or out. As our active rings come in a pack of 2 identical toys, so identical value, this can easily be taught through simple games of fetch. One method to do this is throwing one ring while holding the other. When your dog returns with the first ring, wait for them to drop it. You can either wait for them to drop it in front of you or stick your hand out and grab it, but this will really depend on your individual dog and which rules that you ultimately want to teach for your retrieval games. A handy tip is to let the ring that they have in their possession go dead and make your second ring come alive. You can shake the alive ring in your hand or across the ground and get your dog to pay more attention to the second ring and then drop the first one. As soon as they drop it, mark yes and throw the second ring. Pick up the first ring and repeat, eventually adding in your drop cue. So I hope that was helpful if you wanted to try and teach that with your dog, but we're going to go back to talking about tug. And the next thing to really keep in mind for tug is that you kind of want your dog to be doing most of the work. This means that you don't want to be excessively pulling your dog or dragging them around. A little is fine here and there though. If your dog doesn't show much initial drive or interest in the ring, that's okay. Instead of forcing it, make the ring dynamic, and like we mentioned before, make it come alive by moving it across the ground, shaking it, and adding in funny sounds. Arguably, one of the most important rules for playing tug is keeping the toy low to the ground and in alignment with your dog's spine. You want to avoid pulling upwards too much because then you're putting your dog at risk of overextending their neck or injuring their spine. And of course, let your dog win every now and then. Although the active tug is really enjoyable, for some dogs, winning is the best part. Every dog is a bit different, so some dogs might take the toy and run off and have their own little party of one, which comes into the celebrating aspect of play. Or some dogs might bring it back to you and want to keep going. To really take your tug to the next level and really satisfy your dog's fighting instinct, you can even start using one hand to sort of push your dog and create distractions and difficulty for them. If you can start doing this, it is such a good way to teach your dog to be resilient and focus on the task at hand, even in the face of distractions. I also highly recommend choosing a toy like the active ring that your dog can safely sink their teeth into to add that extra sensory experience and further fulfill that fighting instinct even more. It's really important to understand the individual traits of your dog here. Some dogs can get more intensely or more easily aroused by active games like tug, and it can really intensify their behavior and drive. This can be really incredible if you're trying to harness that so that you can get harder and faster responses from your dog when doing obedience in sports. Okay, so now we're up to the 5th element of play, which is celebrating. If your dog has a certain swagger when returning with their toy, or if they like to carry it in their mouth or take it away and play with it independently by themselves, it's likely that they enjoy the celebrating aspect of play. So the way that we can satisfy these types of dogs with our active rings is that once they win possession of it after, a game of tug or even fetch, you can let them go off and engage in those behaviors, those playful behaviors, those celebrating behaviors before you ask them to bring it back to you. So keep in mind that chewing and celebrating are different. If your dog likes to carry a toy away and start chewing on it, then they enjoy the consuming aspect of play. As our active ring is not a chew toy, we want to find alternative ways to satisfy that desire to chew. So you can offer your dog food as a way to get the toy back, or incorporate food into the play routine by scattering treats at the very end of a round. As you probably noticed by now, many of these games that we've discussed have the opportunity for your dog to switch between several of the 6 elements of play. They might go from stalking to chasing to fighting to celebrating. Interactive games that are directly catered towards your dog's individual play style is what will build your relationship and fulfill those core needs. You might have heard of quotes along the lines of 15 minutes of tug is equivalent to a 1-hour walk for your dog. And while I'm not sure if there's any actual scientific basis to these claims, the anecdotal evidence that is out there speaks volumes. This is why. So now we've shown you the many exceptional capabilities of our Active Rings and how you can use it as a tool to craft really engaging games for your dog that they're just gonna love. Games that will not only strengthen the bond between you and your dog, but create a really exhilarating reward experience for play-based training. I would absolutely love for you guys to come over to our Instagram and share your thoughts and feelings about everything we discussed in the video. There was a lot. I would also love to know which aspect of play that you think your dog enjoys the most. Don't forget to drop a comment of any questions that you have about our Active Ring at all. I'll be answering all of these and more in our next video. We'll see you guys in our next one. Bye!